We're the literacy gang. We in our own lane and we got our own slang. We do our own thing. We're the literacy gang. We in our own lane and we got our own slang. We do our own thing. We're the literacy gang.
Greetings, Virtual Village family. How are you all doing this evening? I hope you all are doing well. It's been a terrific Tuesday thus far. And of course, I'm feeling great because I have my co-host with me here tonight. And you all just don't know all these backstage shenanigans. Mr. Jordan keeps me in stitches. So how are you doing this evening, sir?
I am doing very well. It's Read Across America Day and been sharing a little culturally affirming, uplifting literature during Read Across America Day.
Gotta do that. We have to do that. It is Read Across America, but we're gonna make sure America that we touch is reading books with brown boys and brown girls on the cover, which fits very much in alignment with what's going on with us tonight. Oh, I see Sister Tiffany is here. She says, hi, family. How are you doing, sis? So glad to see you. We hope your little brown boys are tuning in with you right now. So tell us, though, Mr. Jordan, what's been going on today? I mean, your hands are all over the community. Give us the pulse.
You're always so kind to put all this pressure on me, so I thank you for that. No, seriously.
Only because you can handle it.
Oh yeah, I can handle it. No, seriously. That it is Read Across America Day, and so folks have been out there reading to young people, just like we've been doing this pandemic. Some have been able to do some things in person, others have been able to do some things virtually. But the bottom line is, there's been a lot of effort out there to make sure that, like Clever Communities in Action does, 365 days a year, other folks try to give a little focus on this day. And but I'm glad, as you mentioned earlier, that more and more people are making sure that it is a truly culturally representative and culturally affirming Read Across America Day. So that's been happening. And then, depending upon what school division you're in, either your children were in school today or they were doing virtual learning and still trying to deal with this pandemic as we come up on the 1-year anniversary of the shutdown and the Clever Communities in Action virtual village response to it. So, I think I think our last show of this season might be very close to the first time that we came on live via this platform in order to get young people engaged. And so I don't know if you saw, I tagged you today because I went back and pulled up an old clip where you and I were up there with Chancellor. And so I shared that.
Chancellor, the reading champion.
Yes. So I shared that clip with several schools today. So not only did they get a chance to just hear from me, but I thought the idea of hearing from a 4-year-old to other 4-year-olds would be inspiring and have more impact than just hearing me. So I was able to share that.
Chancellor always inspires. He inspires from 4 to 40 to 400. Everybody loves to see that powerful Chancellor reading. And to your point, we are coming up on the anniversary. I think I'm gonna have to, drop that Tony. Do you know what today is? It's our anniversary. And I think we're gonna have a great day coming up then because we might have to bring some of the people from the beginning back up on there and, just reminisce, because that was a special time, I believe. And I've had this conversation with our teachers about them being the front line and everybody, I know we're taking mental notes, but if you can write down some of these experiences and feelings, because this is the first time anything like this has ever happened. I hope it'll never happen again. But, our teachers are in the front, and even parents at home, everybody experiencing this. And that was a beautiful time. It was a time of uncertainty, but the way the community came together when the world pretty much stopped like that, and we all read together, and we all built that sense of community that has grown into this virtual village show, you're gonna have me getting a little nostalgic over here.
As I was going back looking at some of the YouTube clips, it was, when I was sending an email to one of the principals, I told her, like, it's thousands, it's hundreds of hours of parents, of children, of community volunteers who have been at this for literally almost a year. And so I shared with her, like, hey, if you want more clips, I shared with her about the Virtual Village seasons 2 and 3 and the lesson plans that are there. So there really is an amazing archive of literacy gang activity out there for people to pull from.
Yes. And we, prior to the show starting, I had to make sure that Mr. Jordan was repping his set. He seemed to be a little confused about that, but now we got all of that together. Literacy gang, all right? And so you all know what this is about. We are your one-stop shop for literacy, culture, community, and love. You get all of that right here, okay? Because literacy is the foundation of learning, and we know that is super important. And that is what Clever Communities in Action is all about, making sure that we build these strong, confident readers, but we take a holistic approach because we understand that cultural component and that love has to be there for our children. So as we move along with the night, you're just going to get more of that literacy, culture, community, and love. And right now, we have a young lady who is going to do all of that, and she is going to do it personified, exponentially. So everybody, get ready to feel affirmed.
Greetings, virtual villagers. My name is Shania, and do you know what time it is? It's affirmation time! Time to remind ourselves how great we are. So everybody, repeat after me. I am smart. I have purpose. I am confident. I am valuable. My voice is worthy of being heard. I am an asset to my family, school, and community. I respect myself and I respect others. I am beautifully made inside and out. I love my beautiful hair and I love my beautiful brown skin. I am more than enough. Great job, virtual villagers. Can I get a virtual high five? Great job. And always remember how fantastic you are.
Virtual villagers, I'm Kalia, and this is today's moment in history. Ida B. Wells. Ida Bell Wells Barnett was a true detective, human rights crusader, and champion of Black life. Born in Holly Springs, Mississippi in 1862, Ida B. Wells had a first-hand experience with the violent racism of the American South from an early age. This experience did not deter her from seeking a life that would put her under constant danger as she sought out justice following the various acts of the domestic terrorism known as lynching. As an investigative journalist and a brave author, Wells published several pieces that called attention to the lynching epidemic in the American South. Wells was a prominent member in the organizing of women, with her participation in Illinois leading to the partial suffrage for women over the age of 21 and the founding of the National Association of Colored Women. Ida B. Wells dedicated her life's work to the advancement of human rights for Black people within America.
The Village Show is back with Season 4, starting February 1st every Monday through Wednesday. The Virtual Village is ready to inspire all ages. Our industry-leading teachers are here to reinforce foundational literacy skills, provide culturally affirming literature, and we have exciting Black History facts for the entire family. Log on today at clevercommunities.org or visit our social media pages.
After the holidays are over, most Americans prepare for taxes. Titan Tax is ready to make filing your taxes as stress-free as possible. This veteran-owned virtual tax office will prepare and submit your tax return safely from the comfort of your home. If you filed unemployment for the first time or wondering about home office tax deductions, Titan Tax Professional has the answer for you. Contact us today at TitanTax.com or 757-565-7781. Titan Tax, real help from real people.
All right, so I definitely feel affirmed. Shania always hits that home run, making sure that our spirits are high. And then Kalia comes through and gives us that moment in history. And so, as we said, it's Black History 365 days of the year. It's March, but we are doing Black History all the time. And then it's Women's History Month. So how appropriate is it for today's moment in history to be about Ida B. Wells? So listen, Kalia delivered a lot, but we have more to come about Ida B. Wells later on in the show. But right now, do y'all know what time it is? It is community connector time. It's community connection. And we are excited about this guest we have tonight because her mission is in alignment. Her work is in alignment with what we do. And we also have, well, her work has touched our family, our work, our youth who we work with personally. We have read her books. We've had some of our readers, parents, and children come on and read together her books. And I will say they evoked a lot of emotion in the best way ever. And then we have a picture from our book drive, our book delivery that we did back in November in the midst of the pandemic. And let's see this clip of how her work brings joy to our little ones. Can we see this Black boy joy as a result of that? Where is that action? I want to see it. I want to let everybody see that. Oh, let's see. We got some love. We got some love here. We got greetings. Yes. So listen, this is a wonderful family that we have here all the way from Jersey, and they are the creators of Acoma Day, which is super important because that is the Black love holiday. Okay. So if you all don't know, then you better find out about it. We are so glad to have you all up here and, sending so much love to you, And you all make sure you check out Acoma Day. Check it out. So let's see here. Do we have the picture? Do we have the picture of the Black boy joy? Not yet. Okay. So we will move right along and introduce our author coming all the way from Tampa. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that face. You can see, we've had the conversations about now that we're wearing our masks, we don't get to see smiles, but you can see it in the eyes. You still can see the joy, the way the eyes radiate. And this young baby right here, when we had this book delivery, he gravitated towards that book and he was super excited to have it in his hand. And he took that picture ever so proudly. So look, we have to meet the person who is responsible for all this Black boy joy. So without further ado, we are going to bring on Miss Ayesha Rodriguez.
Hello.
Good evening, sis. How are you doing?
I am doing fabulous. Thank you. Thank you guys so much for having me on. I'm so excited.
You're welcome. We are glad to have you. We're excited to have you here. So listen, tell us a little bit about, we're familiar with your I am positive affirmations for Black boys, and I am positive for brown boys, and I am positive affirmations for brown girls. And these two books, like I mentioned, we have personally seen the impact that they have on our little ones, and we are fans. We are complete fans. So tell us a little bit about those books and the others that you have written.
Well, when I first started writing, it was really just because my daughter was going through a hard time in school. And so I just wrote down affirmations that I like in Word, in Microsoft Word, and I printed them out in the morning. And I said that I was going to read them to her on the way to school in the morning, just as a reminder, that your self-worth does not come from others, because she had had a rough day previously. And I said, you know what, this is craziness, because as a parent, we spend so much time building up our children, wanting them to be great, affirming their worth. And sometimes it just takes one incident for all of that to come crashing down. And so that's actually how I started with I Am Positive Affirmations for Brown Girls. And then I said, I can't leave out my brown boy. So then that's how that book came about. And to be honest, that's probably like my favorite book out of all of them. And then because I am an educator, I did one for all children, so that one is the one that is most used in the school system. So from there, it has been quite a journey. I have 7 books altogether, and
Wow.
and so they're in the process. Most of them are also being translated as well, so that we can reach a broader community. So today, though, I'll be reading Beautiful Brown Skin Child. That's my newest one that I have written. So.
Oh, I love that. So again, your mission and your books fit right in alignment with what we're doing here. You saw the affirmation from Shania,
yes.
And I'm like, so this is just a night of everybody being affirmed, and we definitely love that, and we appreciate your contributions for our little ones. We understand the power of that, and after you read, we'll talk about that book, and I want to elaborate a little bit about the experience that we shared with you, that personal experience that we had here, that had everybody crying,
bawling my eyes out.
But it was the best kind of tears, right?
It was the best kind of tears.
Yes. So are you ready to read this? This will be a new one by you for me, so I'm looking forward to hearing it myself.
So this is
all right. Well, Virtual Village family, we hope you are ready, because it's going down now. Do your thing, sis.
Okay, thank you. And so this is my newest book, and it is Beautiful Brown Skin Child. And I'm just going to start off and say that this book is a little bit different than my previous books. When I wrote my other ones, it was really different, because I want the children to read it and say, I am. But this one is more of parent to child, or caregiver to child. This is us speaking to them. And when I wrote this book, this was actually when the whole George Floyd riots were happening, and my heart was broken and I was devastated. And so this book was for our brown skinned children. So it says, beautiful brown skinned child, you are a sight to behold. Your melanin is so rich, and you have a heart of gold. Beautiful brown-skinned child, you hail from queens and kings, though history does not always reveal these things. Beautiful brown-skinned child, I love you. I love your smile. Know who you are and keep your head held high. Beautiful brown-skinned child, I believe in you. Keep the faith and courage in all you do. Beautiful brown-skinned child, you make me so proud. Love your blackness and say it out loud. Beautiful brown-skinned child, you are more powerful than you know. Please always remember this as you grow. Beautiful brown-skinned child, you are so intelligent. Do not let anyone ever tell you different. Beautiful brown-skinned child, there is a leader in you. Put no limits on the great things that you can do. Beautiful brown-skinned child, don't forget to fight. Fight for your future and for what is right. Beautiful brown-skinned child, it is okay to cry. Life's journey has many lows and highs. Beautiful brown-skinned child, don't you ever give up. Get the help that you need to refill your cup. Beautiful brown-skinned child, please focus and be wise. Be a seeker of truth and stay far from the lies. Beautiful brown-skinned child, I love you so much. You are worthy of goodness and deserve to be treated as such. And then I have my daily activity, and it says, do you know what an affirmation is? An affirmation is a positive word or sentence that you repeat to yourself to help remind you of who you are. Stand in the mirror every day and repeat the affirmations on the next page. Say it proudly and loudly. I want you to really believe every affirmation, just like I do. If people say things to you that are not nice, you will know in your heart that it is not true. You are amazing, and I am so proud of you. I am special. I am worthy. I am kind. I am smart. I am important. I am loved. I am able. I am thankful. I am enough. I am glad to be me. And then I have my discussion questions at the end. And that is it.
That was wonderful. So we have a new book in our collection. I definitely enjoyed that. Everybody, let's give it up for Ayesha. We definitely enjoyed that. And let me say this. So the book was great, and we'll get into that. But some of you all have these reading voices that really just like I transform into a little child. Like I'm, just reliving that. Your voice was perfect, I think, really soothing and calming, but spirited for our little ones. So I just love. I was like, all right, I'm getting ready to let Rodney have this while I just nestle up and listen. So that was wonderful. Definitely enjoyed that. And we have a literacy gang salute. All right, gang. Thank you, fam. Thank you, fam. We appreciate that. And so yes, that book was the perfect affirmation. And those messages are so important because to the point you made earlier, you can build our children up, and then one person says the wrong thing, and it's easy for all of that to just go awry. So these books help. These books are extremely important in building our children up. Rodney, what did you think of the story?
Well, I love the book, and I think I also was soothed by the voice. So it's kind of helped me out some. And but as you were reading the last piece, I was thinking of Shania and her affirmation because it was very, very, very on point there. And I would love to hear if you can share. You said you had some discussion questions. I would love to hear if you can share one of those discussion questions just to get a sense of how that works.
Absolutely. So I have discussion questions in the back of the book. And then I also have a free discussion guide. It's 50 questions for you to talk with your children about, and they stem from the book as well. So the first question is, what is melanin? And I asked that question because a lot of times people don't even know what melanin is, and so we want our babies to understand, what is melanin? Like, why are we brown, So that is the first question. The second one is, what do you love about yourself? And when you respond, please start with I am. Number 3, it is important to talk about our feelings with someone that we trust. Who do you talk to when you are feeling sad? Number 4, you are so smart. What subjects do you like to learn about? Why is it important to study? Number 5, we make choices every day. What are some good choices that you have made? How did they make you feel? Number 6, in the book, why do you think they are walking and holding signs? That's when I have a page about Black Lives Matter and they're marching. Number 7, can you think of healthy habits that you should do every day? Number 8, what makes someone a good leader? Number 9, to be mindful means that you are paying attention to your feelings. Some people like to practice mindfulness by sitting quietly, writing in a journal, taking deep breaths, drawing, or coloring. What are some mindful activities that help you to be calm? Number 10, why is it important to learn about your history?
Oh, that's great.
Those are excellent questions. Oh yes, that will get our little ones going. And for anybody who I love that, because not everybody has the right questions in their mind. And so you're giving it to them right there. So any adult can take that book, read that book with a powerful message, and you lay it out right there to get that conversation going. And they're all affirming. And I love, please start with I am. Please, those were great. They're right on point. So we're definitely going to be adding that to our collection and making sure that it makes rounds to the schools that we donate to. So we appreciate you for giving us them.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. And please don't forget, even if you don't have the book as yet, please go on the website. And as I said, it's a free 50-question discussion guide. And I think that for me as an author, it's really important that we are spending time, not just reading the books and then putting them down, but we're having conversations about these books. And so between the words and the illustration, there's a lot of conversation to be had. And I just want to make it easier for parents to be able to talk with their children and kind of learn and get deeper into certain topics. So I hope you guys like it.
May I ask one more question?
Yes.
You started earlier saying how the book is being used in schools. And so I often hear from authors such as yourself trying to figure out how they get their books in the schools. Can you share a little bit about what that process was for you?
For me, honestly, I'm a teacher, so teachers find me.
Okay.
Teachers, yeah, they find me. And then it's using a lot of like preschools and elementary schools. And so that process was me just networking, talking to, teachers and principals and people resonating with the book and wanting to use it as a tool. And that this one particularly is the one that is used in schools most often, along with a couple of my other ones. I have a book about my trip to the eye doctor. So that one is used as well, just because of STEM and learning. So yes. So.
And what is your website, Ayesha?
It's AyeshaRodriguez.com. Make life
okay,
easy.
And that's AYESHA RODRIGUEZ.
Yes.
Ayesha Rodriguez. I am tongue tied tonight. It's AyeshaRodriguez.com. Yes. So definitely make sure you guys go to her site and order the books. But as she said, if you're not able to do that right now, get the discussion questions, at least get those discussion questions. But we want everybody to support when we bring our authors up here. Please support our authors. They're doing great work, and it's for our children. And we encourage everybody, buy these books as children's gifts. Children, buy these children's books. I am super tongue-tied tonight, but buy these children's books as holiday gifts, as just because gifts, as birthday gifts, all types of gifts. If it's your children, your grandchildren, nieces, nephews, children in your community, your church, your mosque, whatever, make sure that we are putting these books in our children's hands. And if you are in places that do not have books like this, then make the demands that they are there, or purchase these books and bring them to where our children are, because it's extremely important. So was there anything you'd like to share with us before you leave us, Ayesha?
No, I think we've covered it all, but I just wanted to say thank you again for having me. I am so grateful to all of you, and I am so happy that my books have resonated with everyone. So just thank you so much.
You're welcome. And I forgot, we were supposed to bring up the Eddie and Ezra. So back when we first started this reading, in the early parts of it, when we were still in quarantine, so we had a father-son duo come on here, and it was Edward and his son Ezra, and they were reading I Am Positive Affirmations for Brown Boys, and it got emotional. Those affirmations hit so strongly for Ezra, but also for his father, just realizing the importance of speaking those words to his son and the impact that it had on his son. And I think, thinking about all the things you're talking about, how important it is to instill this into your child and have that strong foundation and connection. And, you and I made a connection on Instagram, and I was like, well, let me shoot this clip over to her so she can see it. And what were your thoughts on that?
I was a mess. Oh my God. I was bawling my eyes out. It was amazing. It was amazing. But I mean, honestly, I'm so thankful that it happened, because I feel like a lot of times adults, so many of us are broken in so many different ways. So if we can find those holes as parents and be able to speak to our children, to uplift our children, to get them the help that they need, to see things differently, whatever it may be, I just feel like I am just beyond thankful to be able to have the impact that I have. And so that I could have used my, situation with my daughter and use that to be able to help so many others. I'm beyond blessed. So
how does your daughter feel about it?
She's like, she doesn't even remember. That's the worst part. I'm like, what is happening? But it was for her. I mean, it was like 5 years ago. So I mean, girl, I'll give her a little bit of grace with that one because she was in second grade. But it's just like now.
Well, knowing that she inspired the book, does she feel...
no, you can't tell her anything. You can't tell her anything. Mom, I'm the reason why you're famous. What?
I love it. Own it. Yes. That is wonderful. The gift that you're giving to so many children, and then that your daughter, is able to be like, my mommy wrote a book that was inspired by me, and everybody loves it. That's powerful too. So great work. And before you go, I must induct you into the literacy gang. So I must let you know that you are now an official member of the literacy gang, and this gang is founded on a love of literacy, culture, community, and togetherness. You cannot escape this gang. You're going to get this love, and you are welcome back here anytime. So welcome to the literacy gang.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You are welcome. You're welcome. We're extremely glad to have you, and this is the hottest gang. This is the best gang. You're
going to have to show me the secret handshake because I don't know what it is.
Gotta do it off camera, but we'll show you. Definitely. Well, thank you so much for the work that you do. Thank you for joining us tonight. And again, we're glad to have you as a member of the literacy gang.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. You have a good night.
Have a good night, everyone.
Well, that was wonderful. And, I just in perfect alignment, her message, her affirmations. I love it when something comes together beautifully like that. And again, we've seen the impact of her work. We've seen that up front. Do you remember when Eddie and Ezra?
Yeah, as you were talking about, it's like, I think you need to reshare that clip with me because, I think it's something maybe we need to re-highlight. But I do remember that as you were talking about it, I do remember that interaction.
Yeah, I think it touched you too. I think you were a little misty-eyed as well from the father perspective. I think it got us all. I remember. Yeah. So, that was great. And so to know and that it's literature, that families, that's what this is all about, that families are convening around this literature. And it's not just any kind of literature. It's books that affirm our children. And so we love that. We appreciate Ayesha for coming on. So right now we're going to have a quick word from our sponsors, and then Rodney and I are going to come back and you guys are going to get all of this Ida B. Wells action, okay?
Cammie's Closet, an upscale resale clothing, vintage clothing, handbag, and shoes online store. Cammie's Closet, spelled with a K, not with a T, is a small upscale resale boutique that carry gently used name brand clothing, vintage clothing, shoes, and handbags. Cammie's Closet is all about rediscovering, upcycling, and selling clothes of all kinds. Cammie's Closet believes it's an underappreciated form of clothing, and they started a win-win for everyone. The true value of resale. Cammie's Closet is very aficionado, passionate about rediscovering, upcycling, and reselling upscale resale and vintage clothing of all kinds. Go to cammiescloset.com. That's K, not a T, A-M-I-S, not a C, L-O-S-E-T. cammiescloset.com.
Greetings, virtual villagers. I am Peyton, and today's quote is by Ida B. Wells. I'd rather go down in history as one the lone Negro who dared to tell the government that it had done a dastardly thing than to save my skin by taking back what I said.
So every time Peyton delivers that quote, I feel like the ancestor jumped inside of her at that moment. She delivers so strongly. I'm like, Ida B. got in your soul for a second, didn't she? So we are so proud of her, and then the way our young people are so the intent that they have when they are doing these segments. They did not take it lightly. They understood the task at hand, and they did a wonderful job, and we are extremely proud of them. So again,
also,
it is.
Well, I was going to say it's also one of the in this book we're about ready to share. It has a list of quotes at the end of it, and that was one of the quotes that struck me as well. So I appreciate Peyton reading that, and like you said, reading it with the passion that she takes on in doing that.
Yes, she does. And that's a strong word there. She said, I'm not taking it back. I am not taking back what I said. And the further back in history we go, we know the more consequences there were, the more dire the consequences were, and the more immediate they were for speaking the truth like that. So we admire Sister Ida B. Wells for all of our work. And so we're going to dive into her again. Our point with the moment in history is to highlight Black people or Black events that we don't usually hear about in mainstream media, that we may not have heard about in school, or when you do have whatever Black History Month or celebrations that are mainstream, these people aren't talked about. And if they are, they're not elaborated upon. So we're gonna, if we don't make it through this whole book, we're gonna get through it as far as we can. And then I always love to hear what Rodney has to say about our women in history, because he is quite the historian and he is very well versed on our I don't know why you're shaking your head, because
I just like to read and explore. So
everybody knows
I do that.
Someone called you a human computer earlier today.
Okay.
So
was that a compliment?
Why wouldn't it be? It's about all the history that you know. So, like the Far Side, can't keep running away. So let's get this book popping. Okay. So we have Ida B. Wells, Let the Truth Be Told. All right. So in the spirit of Queen Latifah, ladies first, I'm going to kick this one off. Okay. So we are going to read this story. We're going to co-read, and we hope that you all tune in right now. Grab your little snack and get cozy as we learn about Sister Ida B. Wells. So Ida B. Wells was born on the 16th of July, 1862 in Holly Springs, Mississippi. The first child of James Wells and his wife Elizabeth was beautiful, bright-eyed, and healthy. Still, there was much to worry about. James Wells, although a skilled carpenter, was legally a slave, and so was his wife. 3 years later, the Constitution of the United States was changed. The 13th Amendment made slavery illegal. All the Black people of Holly Springs were free now.
Over the next few years, Ida was joined by 3 brothers and 3 sisters. The Wells children were taught to be responsible for one another and the family home. Each child had chores to do around the house. When the Methodists started a school in Holly Springs, James Wells made sure that his children attended. Quote, our job was to go to school and learn all we could, end quote, Ida would say later. And then there's a quote from her autobiography. My mother went along to school with us until she learned to read the Bible. After that, she visited the school regularly to see how we were getting along.
Encouraged by both of her parents, Ida became a good student. She could handle schoolwork better even than some of the adults who were just learning to read after a lifetime of work in the cotton fields. But Ida saw that life was not good for all Black people. There were places Black people could not enter and jobs they could not get. If Black people were accused of crimes, they often would not get a trial. Some were even killed by angry white mobs. When a person was killed in this manner, it was called lynching. Ida saw the sadness and fear caused by the lynchings.
In 1877, 16-year-old Ida was visiting her grandmother in another part of Mississippi when she learned that yellow fever had struck Holly Springs. Both of Ida's parents and her younger brother died. Heartbroken, Ida returned home. She listened as the family's neighbors and friends talked about what they could do to help raise the Wells children. That won't be necessary. Ida stood up as tall as her 5 feet allowed. I can take care of my family. It wouldn't be easy, Ida knew. They could live in the house that her parents had owned and would have the small savings that James Wells had carefully put aside. Ida decided to take a test to become a teacher. She had no experience teaching, but she had helped her sisters and brothers with their lessons. After passing the test, Ida taught in a small town 6 miles away from Holly Springs. A friend of the family agreed to keep the smaller children while Ida worked.
Ida taught during the week and came home on weekends to do the washing and ironing for her brothers and sisters. Each Sunday night, Ida would ride back to the country school on an old mule. She worked in small schools around Holly Springs for 2.5 years. Ida's Aunt Fanny lived in Memphis, Tennessee, 43 miles north of Holly Springs. There were more teaching opportunities there, and in 1881, Ida, now 19, moved to Memphis with 2 of her sisters. Teaching was just as hard there. Ida had to travel by train to get to her job. She often used the time on the train to read or write letters. She read newspapers and whatever books she could find. She also began to keep a diary.
One day, Ida took a seat in the ladies' coach of the train. The conductor refused to take her ticket and told her to move to the smoking car. Ida knew that conductor wanted her to move because she was Black. She refused. The conductor tried to pull her out of the seat. Ida was small. She braced her feet against the seat in front. When the conductor put his hand on her arm, she bit him. The conductor got 2 strong men, and together they dragged Ida from the car. Ida, very upset, left the train and went back to Memphis.
That Black resistance. Ida decided to sue the railroad. She won her case in court and was awarded $500. The local newspaper, the Memphis Appeal Avalanche, ran the story. The headline read, "Darky Damsel Gets Damages." Ida also wrote about the incident for her church paper, The Living Way. Judge Pierce, who was an ex-Union soldier from Minnesota, awarded me damages of $500. And this is from the Crusade for Justice in the autobiography of Ida B. Wells.
Later, the court's decision was reversed, and Ida did not receive the money she had won in court. But she did see how people reacted to the articles she had written. Ida continued to write for her church paper, and soon Black newspapers around the country began to carry her essays. She wrote under the name Iola and was called the Princess of the Press. T. Thomas Fortune, the noted New York publisher of the New York Age, wrote, "She has become famous as one of the few of our women who handle a goose quill with diamond point as easy as any man in newspaper work. If Lola were a man, she would be a humming independent in politics. She has plenty of nerve and is as sharp as a steel trap." By 1889, Ida had stopped teaching and wrote full time. She even became part owner of a newspaper called Free Speech in Headlight. In August 1892, both her sharp pen and her nerve would be put to the test. So I just want to correct that. She wrote under the name Lola and was called the Princess of the Press.
The People's Grocery Store was owned by 3 of Ida's friends. A dispute occurred between the 3 and some white men who didn't like the idea that Black men owned the store. A fight ensued and shots were exchanged. The next morning, hundreds of Black men were arrested, including Ida's friends. Several days later, the store owners were taken from the jail by a white mob and murdered. Ida was filled with grief and anger. She knew that the deaths of Black men were often ignored. Longing for justice, Ida turned to the only weapon she had, her writing. In her articles for Free Speech and Headlight, Ida urged the Black people of Memphis to leave town or stop supporting white businesses or riding the white-owned streetcar line. Ida Wells had organized one of the first economic boycotts. She was threatened and friends feared for her life. When Ida left town to visit New York, her office was invaded by hoodlums and destroyed. The quote is, "This is what opened my eyes to what lynching really was, an excuse to get rid of Negroes who were acquiring wealth and property."
Ida was forced to leave Memphis, but she was determined not to be quiet or fearful. She began writing for the New York Age from her new home in Chicago. Her articles exposed the poor treatment of Black people, especially Black men. More than any other person in America, she spoke and wrote about the crime of lynching. She believed that all Americans, Black and white, were entitled to equal justice.
In 1893, she published a book on lynching titled The Red Record. Her good friend Frederick Douglass wrote an introduction to the book. "Dear Miss Wells, brave woman, you have done your people and mine a service which can never be weighed nor measured." Ida was invited to speak in England and Scotland. She spoke with eloquence and passion about the unfair treatment of Black men. In the past 10 years, over 1,000 Black men and women and children have met this violent death at the hands of a white mob, and the rest of America has remained silent.
In June 1895, Ida B. Wells married Ferdinand Lee Barnett, an attorney and newspaper publisher. Susan B. Anthony, who fought so hard for women's rights, worried that Ida would give up her life as a crusader for justice. Ida replied, "Miss Anthony, don't you believe in women getting married?" She said, "Oh yes, but not women like you who had a special call for special work. I know of no one in this country better fitted to do the work you had in hand than yourself." Although she was raising her own family, Ida Wells did not abandon her role as a fighter. In 1900, the Chicago Tribune ran a series of articles recommending school segregation. Ida asked for help from another brave warrior in the fight for social equality, Jane Addams. Miss Addams brought together a group of influential white business people to hear Ida plead her case. Ida Wells convinced them to help keep Chicago schools open for all children.
Although a wife and mother, Ida continued to write and organize. In 1909, she was one of the major speakers and organizers of the group for the advancement of color In 1909, she was one of the major speakers and organizers of the group that would eventually call itself National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, or the NAACP. Ida Wells understood that among African Americans, there were important differences. Those who were powerful and doing well often weren't willing to make a commitment to help the poorest among them. They wanted to be respectable. Ida Wells also wanted to be respectable, but felt it was her duty to fight for justice. I'd rather go down in history as one lone Negro who dared to tell the government what it has done, that it has done a dastardly thing, than to save my skin by taking back what I have did. That's what our Peyton delivered to us tonight.
That's right. Ida continued her fight for justice by taking up the cause of suffrage, her friend Susan B. Anthony's lifelong mission. After talking to Anthony about voting rights, Ida was convinced that women's suffrage was critical to political change for Black women. In 1913, Ida created the Alpha Suffrage Club. It was the first voting organization for Black women in the state of Illinois. At Woodrow Wilson's presidential inauguration in 1913, Ida and 5,000 other women marched for the right to vote. When white suffragists asked Ida to march in the separate colored section, Ida sternly refused. It took several more years of hard work by Ida and many others, but women finally won the right to vote in 1920.
Shady dealings. Ida Wells spoke up for what she believed. Her weapons were her keen mind and her pen. Leaders as different as W.B. Du Bois and Marcus Garvey, the Black nationalist, consulted her. In 1930, feeling that the candidates for the state legislature in Illinois were not doing enough for the people, she ran for the state senate. She did not win the race, but again, her clear and passionate voice was heard. The following year, on the 25th of March, Ida B. Wells died. For more than a half century, this dynamic, intelligent woman used her writing skills to promote freedom and justice. She made America a better place. So that is some information on Ida B. Wells. And if you're tuned in right now, we'd love to know what stood out to you the most. Did you learn anything? Was there anything that you found to be inspirational? Share with us what you thought of this story. And of course, to my co-host, what were the pieces that you would like to highlight?
Well, I mean, there's so much about her, and I think that last piece that deals with voting and suffrage is an often, I think, overlooked and untold story, that as women were fighting for the right to vote, and as she was leading that march, they even still, during that period, wanted to relegate Black women to second-class status, and Ida B. Wells refused. And so much of the suffrage movement, so many movements that have brought rights to others in this country have been led and occurred and been successful off of the backs of African-American women. And so, that last piece struck me. And of course, her known fame around speaking out on behalf of ending the horror of lynching. I mean, there's so much about her that sticks out, but those are just a couple. And then also, as we talked about often, as she talked about the differences that may exist in terms of tactics and approaches, but where there's shared goals. So I know earlier in our virtual village, we talked about some of the ways that Marcus Garvey and W.E.B. Du Bois used to go at each other. And so I also found it significant that here, while they may have had different philosophies at times, both of them were smart enough to consult Ida B. Wells. And as usual, she was brilliant enough to provide the advice that each of them needed towards the goal of advancing liberation and success for Black people in this country and beyond. So, that all those things resonated with me in reading that story.
Do you feel her name is known as well as the two gentlemen, Marcus Garvey and W.B. Du Bois?
No, but I was mentioning as we were coming on the show that Nicole Hannah-Jones with the New York Times and been involved with the 1619 Project. I know that she and 3 other African-American journalists started the Ida B. Wells Society to, one, uplift her name, but also raise the importance of investigative journalism, similar to what Ida B. Wells did. So unfortunately, in most cases, we have a paternalistic society that has underappreciated the role that Black women have had in our success and in the movement. But I appreciate the fact that the virtual village has an opportunity to shine light on this. And the more we're able to get these books and these stories into the hands of our children and into our schools, we can correct that grave error and mistake.
Definitely. And as our guest, Ayesha said earlier, the post discussion is important because a lot of these books, we vet them, but they're sometimes right now I have issues with what the books are saying, or I feel that they gloss over things. I'm okay with this one, but the post discussion is extremely important. So it's important that we as adults take the time to learn this information as well. You can learn a lot from children's books, actually, you can. But to be able to answer the questions and have that conversation and perhaps learn together. But definitely, I'd say vet the books that you read, especially just all of them. But when we're talking about historic figures, make sure that they are not glossing over things. Of course, we want it to be palatable for a child, but we don't want it. I read a book about Dr. King before. We got it from the library from our literacy festival that we used to have. And I was reading out there in SeaTac, and I was reading to my babies. And, it talked about when he went up to Chicago and for the housing, demonstration.
Fair housing.
Yes. And basically it made it seem like he went up there, marched and, left, and everybody had equal housing and everybody was happy and everybody saying kumbaya together. And I stopped in mid-instruction, mid-reading, and was like, okay, well, I'm going to put this down and we're going to have a lesson about revisionist history. And that is exactly what we learned about. And we learned about, thinking, critical thinking, deciphering. So, yes, definitely have the post discussions here. And another thing I'd like to add about Ida B. Wells, they mentioned how she's small in stature. She was small in stature for people who do not know that. And that incident on the train when you were getting ready to come in, I was about to be like, that's that part. So you have to think about what a small woman, a Black woman with no protection around her at that time and the time period in which we were talking about. So, of course, this predates Rosa Parks by,
many years.
by far. And so for her to be that brave and where it was like a couple of men had to come and pry her away. So she had her dignity and she knew she paid her money and she said she was not going to be treated that way. And a lot of times, you end up being the lone Negro, as she said, when you take these stances. So we admire her for her strength and we want our young people coming up to understand for them to be strong as well. And we as adults, we have to understand that it is our responsibility to cover them. It is our responsibility to build safety around them as much as we can. Yes, they inherit the fight, they inherit the struggle, but we should learn and we should, put things in place where they can grab that baton and they can go. So we salute Sister Ida B. Wells for her strength, for the work that she did during a time where people were literally being hanged for just living, for just being, let alone for speaking out. And let's see. Oh, we got Sister Sharice in the building. She said, do it afraid and do it alone if you have to. Okay. And we have Sister Fiona in here. She's telling us good evening with all that energy behind it. Good evening. And then we had a comment from our Chancellor, the literary champion. Hi, Chancellor. We are so glad that you and your mommy are tuned in. Always so glad to see you both. And we hope that all of you all tuned in, enjoyed. Let's see. Fiona said that Ida B. Wells is her journalistic shero. Okay.
Right.
And we hope that as a result of this, she becomes more people's journalistic shero and that you all go do further research. If you're a little one, do the research. Families do the research together. That is the book there, Ida B. Wells, Let the Truth Be Told. We also have another one here that is Power in My Pen. And this is about Ida B. Wells as well. So it's less text in here. It's for the younger ones. So definitely do that. And we have these moments in history clips that we post about these historic figures every day. So you can find them on the Clever Communities in Action Facebook page. And we hope that you guys are utilizing those clips to be like a starter package, an introductory to learning about these historic figures and why they're relevant. Fiona, where can you find the books? So we recommend, if you're in the Hampton Roads area, you can go to Positive Vibes and see if they have the book. If they don't, ask if they can order the book. If you are not in Hampton Roads, go to your local Black-owned bookstore. If they do not have it, then we ask that you go to Amazon and add Clever Communities in Action as your charity. And you can get them from there if there's no local Black-owned bookstore. And all you have to do is go to smile.amazon.com and add Clever Communities in Action as your charity. And anytime you make a purchase, Amazon will donate a portion of your proceeds at no cost to you. It comes back to Clever Communities in Action every time you shop. Let's see, I believe we have another comment. Cherie said, the senior saints say, tell the truth and shame the devil. We must speak truth to power like Sister Wells. Okay. We got all this energy coming through here, and I'm glad to see that Sister Ida B. Wells is igniting this. And Fiona said, excellent. I love all that energy. I love all that. Remember when Chancellor, I don't know if you saw it, Rodney, when he's like, exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. It was the cutest, most precious thing. Oh, my goodness. So we love our virtual village family. And for those of you all who just tuned in, we appreciate seeing, look, we have our former readers up here. Everybody, Crystal and Chancellor, Sharice, Fiona, all of you all have been a part of this show, and we definitely appreciate you all. And we are coming up on our 1 year anniversary when this thing first started, and none of us knew what in the world was going on and where we remember, Rodney, we thought it was going to be like a 2-week situation. And here we are almost 365 days later, and it's been quite a ride, but I have enjoyed it. But we'll save all of that for the actual week that is a year. But we thank you all so much for tuning in. Special thanks to all of our youth for the segments that they provide and that energy and knowledge that they bring. Shout out to our young brother Jameer, who is backstage making things happen. And, much love to Sister Ayesha, who came through and blessed us with her gift. And co-host, you going to take us out?
Well, I was just going to say that as we come up on our anniversary, we're going to have to get some folks up there. Miss Tiffany, we're still waiting on you, so be prepared. And then soon we'll have some news announcements. I'm sure that Miss Starr, you'll be sharing with the Clever Communities in Action audience and the Literacy Gang. So we're coming up on here, but we're going to keep on rolling.
Yes. So you all have a wonderful evening, and tune in tonight to make sure you get that. Tomorrow night to make sure you get the foundational literacy lesson. So y'all take care. Peace.
We in our own lane and we got our own slang. We got our own gang with a literacy gang. We in our own lane and we got our own slang. We do our own thing with a literacy gang. We know our ABCs, we can read a riddle. We're about the action, present participle. Subject and predicates meeting in the middle. 20 minutes every day really is that simple. Your brain is a muscle, must keep it trained. We flex different with a literacy gang. Your brain is a muscle, must keep it trained. We flex different with a literacy